Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 live from our studio here at Adesa in Accra. I am Martin Aseidu Dartey.
And I am Ayisha Yakubu coming up in the bulletin this evening.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Ghana National Association of Teachers (NAT) describes as worrying silence of Ghana Education Service and regional directors over rising attacks on teachers by students.
Catholic Bishops' Conference urged government to immediately declare a state of emergency in Galamsey-affected areas.
Also, Supreme Court releases its full reasoning for dismissing injunction application filed by Old Tafo MP seeking to halt the removal proceedings of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu.
And later in business, Bank of Ghana maintains policy rate at 28% for second straight time, citing the need to sustain disinflation gains.
And in international news, U.S. President Donald Trump says he is recommending a 50% tariff on all goods from the European Union being imported to the United States.
We are live around the world on 3news.com. We are also streaming on Facebook, and we'll be happy to hear from you on the many stories we have for you tonight.
We are starting off with matters concerning education because the Ghana National Association of Teachers is taking a strong stance against what it describes as the worrying silence of the Ghana Education Service and regional directors over rising attacks on teachers. Speaking to our Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku, NAT General Secretary Thomas Tanko Musa urged teachers who feel unsafe or threatened by students to immediately leave the workplace for their own protection.
Across the country, reports of violent attacks on teachers are on the rise, sparking deep concern within the education sector. In some instances, the threats come not only from students, but also from members of the surrounding communities, putting the lives of teachers at risk. In the Ashanti region, a teacher at Ofinso was reportedly stabbed by a student. In the capital, students at Accra High Senior High School were involved in a physical altercation with a teacher. These incidents have stirred growing agitation among the teaching fraternity. General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Tanko Musa, has criticized the Ghana Education Service for its silence on the attacks.
Tell me, what is going on? Assuming one teacher has done one. Say, punish the teacher. You will see GES calling the teacher to come and face the disciplinary committee. But here we are. The teachers are being beaten. People are stabbing their eyes. They are being beaten left, right, center, being tormented and tortured. Why is GES quiet? Why are they quiet? Why are the district directors not talking? Why?
He advised that any teacher who feels unsafe or threatened should not hesitate to leave the school premises for their own safety.
Tell your head, withdraw your service. Period. Nobody can do you anything. And we are waiting to see that particular day when the teacher will feel that his life is threatened and he withdraw his services. Let us hear any director talk in this country. Or let us hear that a regional director has taken any action against that party. That day, we will all descend into the gutters with that particular person.
It's raising urgent questions about the protection of teachers and the future of discipline in schools.
Let's continue with the conversation on this. Dr. Clement Abasa Park is Deputy Education Minister. Doc, good evening to you and thank you for joining us on News 360.
Good evening to you, Ayisha, and to our viewers across the globe.
Thank you very much for joining us. Doc, firstly, has the ministry engaged the teacher unions on ways to deal with such indisciplines in senior high schools? Because the teachers are saying it has become one too many.
Well, I think that the concerns being raised by the Ghana National Association of Teachers are legitimate. Even yesterday, the Ghana National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, also issued a statement indicating the worrisome developments in our secondary schools pertaining to growing incidents of indiscipline. But the ministry is not oblivious to these rather disturbing developments. The Minister for Education has already, in the case of secondary schools, granted permission for the management of our schools to intensify searches as part of the effort to try and address this worrisome canker. Again, the minister has given the go-ahead for the reinstatement of parent-teacher associations to their pre-2017 statuses as part of the effort to try and bring parents on board to work with managers of our schools to ensure that we address these matters. But these are just two of many other interventions in the West. I can report that the minister has directed the Director General of the Ghana Education Service to work with the Ghana Education Service Council to fashion out immediate interventions as far as the need to clamp down on the growing indiscipline on our various campuses and school compounds are concerned. But ultimately, we would be implementing the outcome of the National Education Forum, superintended over by the minister at the direction of His Excellency, the President. That has a lot of content that would also then look at the issue of indiscipline in our school in a much more holistic manner. But in the meantime, we certainly sympathize and agree with the teachers, and we will take all the needed steps to ensure that we have a peaceful, serene, and safe teaching and learning environment.
So, Doc, beyond the issue of CHAS and teacher unions, is the ministry hoping to engage parents and guardians when it comes to the behavior of students?
Well, yes, we know there is a national association of parent teachers associations. So the ministry clearly would not leave any stone unturned in its effort to ensure that our campuses, be they basic, secondary, or otherwise, are safe for both teachers and learners. That I can assure you, the minister would not rest until we address this issue in a manner that is satisfactory to all of us.
Right, Doc. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Dr. Clement Apak is Deputy Education Minister.
Let's take you to the Ashanti region now, and a lot has been happening on the political front. The Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Entwibe, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, will report to the National Security Office next week in Accra. Counsel for the embattled Ashanti Regional Chairman Kwame Adom Appiah spoke with my colleague William Evans Inkum after the National Security operatives stormed his house Friday morning.
This morning, some persons believed to have emerged from national security came here. The motive is not clear, but they have been moving around while the chairman remained stuck in his house. We still do not know the motive for which they came here, but the moment they arrived, scores of party supporters also came, spent about 20 minutes, and then they left. Know why the operative from National Security were here?
I asked the from the leader of the team, and he told me that they've been asked to bring him to Accra, and we were able to resolve the issue. So later on in the following week, we will make sure that he responds to their invitation.
Do we know why they are inviting him?
We are not aware of the reason. They never told us. You know, when a constabulary duty is to be done, the policeman's lot is not the best. You are asked to bring the person. That is what they were told.
Very much. So we have been speaking to lawyer Kwame Adamapia, counsel for Bernard and Chibu Esiako. Of course, the Ashanti Regional Secretary of the Opposition NPP.
So that's what transpired in the Ashanti region earlier today. Let's speak to Dr. Samuel Freer, who is a political analyst, on how all of this is playing out and the NPP's quick accusation of the government for masterminding what they call intimidation of political opponents. Thank you very much, Mr. Freer. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
This is not the first.
Your viewers.
Right. This is not the first time that we've seen party people mass up when a political activist or someone who is politically exposed is being invited or picked up, or a search warrant is, has been issued for his home to be searched. Why do you think this is the case?
Ghanaian politics in such a way that this has been occurring day in and day out with the national security, trying to, I use the word in quote, to intimidate other political appointees when there's a change in government. So but I think that we need to grow and mature in our democracy and try to use other ways. They use the procedure of trying to get these appointees to answer some questions. And that is what we all need to look at. But sometimes on the other side, you can also not say that the security agencies or the security apparatus will not have the right to question people or individuals. That is also one aspect. And we might not know whether the kind of information that they have. That is why sometimes they might not even follow the procedure. So sometimes here and there, but I believe that the NIB should try as much as practicable in a way to manage some of these. But for the political party members going to the various locations, that is normal. For us, it's normal because you see these things and then they will just marshal their people to meet them at the police headquarters or whatever they send them to. But I think that we have to avoid this as we are growing in our democracy. I think we have to avoid that.
Right. Many have condemned the fact that, the political actors are quick to ask supporters to mass up at their homes to more or less, for lack of a better expression, protect them from being taken away. But is it a right description to say they are being intimidated when a warrant has been issued and then they come to your house and say that based on issue A, B, and C and showing you where they are from, they need you to come with them for questioning or to assist with the investigation? How does that amount to intimidation?
For politics, people tend to use any other opportunity to just politicize every incident or cases that comes along. Because when you look at some of these issues, maybe they just need you to come and, in Ghana, anything that matters and you want it to be, let's say, don't want to achieve that kind of desire, or that is the objective, then you politicize it. So the politicians tend to use this as a strategy of trying to politicize the issue, then it becomes a little bit difficult to manage. And that is what, seriously, we are having a difficulty in this. They tend to politicize it. Then it makes the issue very, very difficult for security agencies to manage. Because I learned that they went there within 20 minutes, they have to leave because they called in these party
supporters.
To come.
And maybe finally and briefly, sorry for cutting in, finally and briefly, would you also advise, for instance, that the security agencies, when they are going to some of these places, you know, do not go with guns? Naturally, you will be scared if someone knocks at your door, you open, and you have a number of men holding guns, you know, and it is in the name of we are coming to invite you or we are coming to search your house. That naturally would be quite scary, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it won't be scary. It depends on whoever that is involved. You know, sometimes you are coming to the house of a regional chairman of Ashanti region, the stronghold of the party. So you will not tend to go there in a way that you also not protect yourself. But assuming that they are coming for me, they will not bring anything because, you know, I'm not a chairman. And so it depends on the situation. It depends on the one that is involved and also the security aspect of the environment. Right. That is why sometimes you might give the prerogative of the security agencies to look at it to carry guns. But I see it as not threatened. But I think that the security agencies try to use the procedure. They should try to at least tone down a little bit in terms of inviting these appointees. If not, they will politicize everything, right, and that might not, that it will affect their intentions or their goals that they want to achieve.
Thank you so much for your time this evening. Dr. Samuel Efriye is a political analyst.
To Samuel News this evening, instituted fines of up to 2,000 cedis are deterring traders from engaging in unauthorized trading activities on the streets and pavements of Accra Central Business District. In the following report, my colleague George Quaining visits Makola 3 days after the decongestion exercise by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and reports high levels of compliance among traders.
This is the current state of Makola following the long-awaited decongestion exercise by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. There is relatively free flow of both vehicular and human traffic. However, these traders you see on the pavement are not permitted to go beyond the red line marked by the Assembly. Traders who sell beyond the line could face fines of up to 2,000 cedis.
Aseidu okwem ena baye aba ntomatwe nyina bayeti enti eyemaye Aseidu ni ase na nye obi wo fufu okwem enwu nye to okwem obi tumi de bayire ka ba kuro beye kuro okwem enti yenya ni se na eye.
A dialect, what she's saying is that she's really happy that that decongestion exercise took place. If you've actually monitored a decongestion exercise over the past few years, you could tell that traders don't really, they're not happy when they say decongestion, but the situation is quite different now. She's okay. The fact that some human face has been put to this.
It's ya pamoya aya na haye anu mu giant so ya hwagya no ama ne boroso me kura de fofo na mete awo bi pa ye wo ha ya baby amete no a baby amete na report ni simi nche o ne ma ya nkwa ne ma wo fofo.
She sells fruits here and she's also in support of this very decongestion exercise. She's personally confirmed to me that she's one of those traders that actually pound fufu on the street, and she knows that that is a bit illegal.
Nkofo no ma ya pa mo afri anu ye se o munya be hihye mu wa na ye anu so yenko ejaga ye pacho se omufa anukitu ma yenko kwan ni so.
So this is more like a plea from her that the line that has been drawn, which is somewhere here, should be extended a bit forward to contain a lot of the numbers. The Accra Metropolitan Chief Executive, Michael Kpakpo Alote, noted that continuous engagement with traders, along with a human approach adopted during the exercise, has ensured full compliance.
They should help me for me to help them. And they buy into it. And I'm very grateful to them. Because if they decide not to listen to me, like we will not get here. I'm going to work with them. I'm going to be with them. And I'm for the people. I told them I wanted to be the people's mayor. I know by the end of this exercise, the market women will be happy, Ghanaians will be happy, drivers will be happy, and everybody will be happy. Because this exercise is not a 9-day wonder, as I said. It's going to take less than a month. But after that, we're going to review it, see where the challenges are, then we'll pick it up from there.
The Accra Metropolitan Assembly has also activated a task force to enforce regulations and ensure full compliance.
Now, there's some good news for commuters across the country. Transport fares are set to drop by 15% starting tomorrow, Saturday, May 24, 2025. This reduction follows a decrease in fuel prices and a stronger cedi, which has gained ground against major trading currencies in recent weeks. The Industrial Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Abba Simoro, confirmed the development in an interview with 3 News.
After a marathon meeting with the Transport Ministry, we finally decided to reduce lorry fares by 15%, but effective from coming Saturday. We considered so many things. Resetting of Ghana, this is our contribution of resetting Ghana. We are not waiting till the normal ingredients that we use before preparing for reduction or increment. If anybody misbehaves, it is only the law that you have to hand him over to. Don't beat the driver and the maid. They are only 2, and normally there will be as many as 12, 14, 30, 40 passengers against only 2 people. If the driver and his maid misbehaved, you only thing to do is just to hand them over to the police.
Well, our research desk has something interesting for you. We'll show you how much you will be paying after the 15% reduction. My colleague Martin Aseidu is at the magic wall to bring that to us. Martin,
yep.
If I were paying, let's say, 11 cedis from Kaswa to Accra, how much would I be paying now?
Fantastic. And I like the fact that the GPRTU official said that don't fight or fight in the car or beat the mate or the driver. So you're talking about 11 cedis. Our system here just clearly computes what the 15% means. So if you were paying 11 cedis, and would encourage all of you, fortunately you all have calculators, so you just do your own simple calculation. The current amount you're paying minus 15%, which you need to calculate. So if it's 11 cedis, 15% reduction will mean that now you are paying 9 cedis, 35 pesos. For those of you long distances that pay maybe 100 cedis, that means that effective tomorrow, don't fight, just pick your calculator, or you can even write it down on paper. When you get there, tell the mate or the driver to calculate it themselves. If you're paying 100 cedis, it means now you're paying 85 cedis, 15%, not 15 cedis, 15% reduction from that amount. If you're paying 90 cedis, I had someone ask, if you're paying 90, okay, so we'll bring that, great. 90 cedis, that will mean that you're now going to pay 76 cedis, 50 pesos. So it is not 15% that they are taking, 15 Ghana cedis that is being deducted from the amount. It is percent. So that's 15 over 100. You multiply that by the amount that you already pay, and then you're likely to get the specific amount. So if it is 20 cedis that you usually pay, it means that effective tomorrow, you're paying just 17 Ghana cedis as your transport fare. So that's just basically to let you know that from tomorrow, transport fares have reduced by 15%. Just do simple calculation, and then I'm sure that we'll all have a very peaceful transport system going forward.
Hopefully, we and the Trotro mates have an understanding and not too many fights because of the 15% and 15 cedis. Yeah. Hopefully, you have it clear now. Let's move away from that. The Catholic Bishops' Conference has revived calls for the government to show more commitment in the fight against illegal mining, Galamsey, by declaring a state of emergency in targeted areas affected by the menace. At a meeting with President Mahama at the Jubilee House, the bishops are demanding a repeal of the Mining and Minerals Act that permits mining in forest reserves and on water bodies. President Mahama is meanwhile assuring the bishops that the efforts of government in tackling the menace will yield results.
Your Excellency, we propose the following, and we are ready to back you up in all ways to arrest this menace. Repeal of permissive legal instruments. Audit and repeal legislative instruments enabling unchecked licensing under the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, and associated legislative instruments. Immediate freeze on new artisanal and small-scale mining licenses until a full review of environmental and social impacts is completed. He believed there should be targeted state of emergency. Declare, Your Excellency, a limited state of emergency in all the affected zones to suspend all mining activities temporarily. Deploy military engineering units for reclamation. Restore lawful local governance and other centralized oversight. Establish district-level mining task forces with civil society and church observers to monitor local operations.
But currently, the statistics we have is 16% of our forest reserves have been destroyed and encroached upon. It will need both reclamation and rehabilitation of the forest. And we are intending to do that under the carbon credit system, because if you reclaim mined lands and you restore forests, you can claim it under carbon credits. And that will give us more money to reclaim some more of the forest. And then if you want it in hectares, almost equivalent of 5,000 hectares, actually 4,726 hectares of forest have been destroyed by illegal mining.
Right, so on the 6th of May 2025, the Supreme Court dismissed an injunction sought by Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Isifua, against the commencement of proceedings to hear 3 petitions that were brought before the President to remove Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. The 5-member panel, in a 3-2 majority decision, dismissed the injunction brought by the Member of Parliament for Old Tafo. Well, in the full reasoning by both majority and dissenting justices of the Supreme Court, in the 81-page reasoning, it was clearly, which was released earlier today, it was clear that the judges had different or diverse opinions, which I'm going to walk you through in a jiffy. So we start from the issues of those that, so by 3-2 decision, they have dismissed it. But on what grounds did the 3 judges agreed to dismiss it, and on what were the grounds for the 2 judges that agreed with the petition that had been brought, or the case that had been filed by the Old Tafo MP? So by the majority opinion, one of the justices, that's Tanko Amadou, Justice of the Supreme Court, he said he granted that members of government are the petitioners, Article 146 requires that the President consult with the Council of State and deal with any such petition by due process of law. He believes that the Council of State, which includes a former Chief Justice and other eminent statesmen and women of this country, is a constitutionally implanted institutional check and safeguard which checks the President's power to act willy-nilly. And by extension, even after the prima facie determination is made, that is not the end of the matter. I find, however, that to push the political button is too simplistic to juridically constitute the grounds for injunctive relief presumptively and prematurely. A lot of legalese and legal language there. But he's simply saying that he disagrees with the Old Tafo MP. The Justice of the Supreme Court, Johnny Kolendi, in agreement to what Tanko Amadou said, indicated that to judicially endorse the notion that a competent constitutional actor must consider their hands tied merely due to the service of an injunction application, particularly one that seeks to restrain or impede the execution of a critical constitutional mandate, would risk paralyzing essential state functions and could lead to catastrophic consequences for our public and constitutional order. So let's look at those that dissented. These are the 2 judges that dissented, and that is Professor Mensah Bonsu and JSC Gaiwu. They say, for instance, that their disagreement starts from the fact that had the Chief Justice had her right to a fair opportunity to be heard in her own defense been respected by the time? I should think not. Meaning they do not think that the Chief Justice, Gertrude Torkornoo, within the time before her dismissal, had enough time to go through and even reply. The practice of constitutional democracy and the blessings of the law are dependent upon the proper functioning of courts around the country, not on acts by street mobs or the expression of opinions that are fashionable with the public at any point in time. Therefore, any case that raises serious issues on judicial independence, security of tenure of judges, and any related matters that affect the integrity of the judicial system within the legal system and the tenets of democratic governance can neither be seen as trivial nor frivolous. So if you go to 3news.com, which is our website, you will definitely be getting further and better information of the development. So later on Ghana Tonight as well, Alfredo Kanse, I beg your pardon, Kemini Amano and Dennis Puaberi Wadam will be digging deeper to help you understand the full content of the reasoning of the 5-member panel of justices that ended in a 3-2 majority decision.
Well, stay with us here on News 360. We have some business news coming your way.
People have money, imagine.
Your tracks.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN.
Thank you for staying with us. Menu Afo is here with some business news. Menu, what do you have for us?
Well, you know, Bank of Ghana has maintained the policy rate at 28% in a bid to maintain the disinflation that we've seen in the economy recently. We have details of that and more stories coming up in business.
Well, we're waiting.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the business segment on News360. I am Menu Afo. The Bank of Ghana has, for the second consecutive time, held its key lending rate at 28%, signaling a firm stance in the fight against inflation. Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama made the announcement at the 124th Monetary Policy Committee press briefing in Accra.
The Bank of Ghana's decision comes as inflation, though easing, still remains well above the central bank's medium-term target. Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama said the current economic conditions demand a tight monetary policy stance to sustain the ongoing disinflation process.
Despite these positive developments, the committee observed that the current level of inflation remains high relative to the medium-term target and will require maintaining the tight stance to reinforce the disinflation process.
On the exchange rate outlook, Dr. Johnson Isiama said the central bank is closely monitoring the cedi's performance to ensure volatilities remain within acceptable bands.
We think that where we are now, we don't have that problem of real appreciation that will impact adversely on our competitiveness. And so for now, we think that the trend is in line. We are observing it continuously though.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has expressed optimism about an end-year inflation target of 11.9%. The next MPC meeting is scheduled for July 21, 2025.
In more news tonight, Ghana's total export value increased to over $93 billion in April, from over $69 billion in March 2025, representing over 34% jump. Now, this was driven by gold exports, which contributed more than half.
According to Bank of Ghana's May 2025 Summary of Economic and Financial Data, Ghana recorded a trade surplus of over $41 billion in April 2025, contributing about 4.7% to GDP. Total exports increased by more than 34% to over $93 billion from the previous month's $69 billion. This was heavily driven by gold exports, which grew from over $37 billion to $52 billion within the same period, accounting for a significant 56.21% of total exports. Cocoa came second, contributing about 19% with about $18 million. Oil exports accounted for about 10%, with all other exports accounting for the remaining 14%.
Moving on, finance lecturer at the University of Professional Studies Accra, Dr. Eric Boachi-Yadom, is calling for greater protection of indigenous businesses to help the government generate revenue and safeguard local jobs. He believes there has been a consistent pattern over the years of targeting Ghanaian-owned businesses, citing the recent backlash faced by Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited as an example. He was speaking at a national dialogue on tackling tax revenue leakages organized by UPSA.
We check in Ghana. Hardly are we going to have a third-generation business, a business that has been run by somebody handing over to another person and another person handing it to the next person. I can, on top of my head, I can talk about Enterprise and Nkulenu and probably about 2 or 3 companies that have lived through. Because when a business is built, the same Ghanaian will rise up to collapse it.
We'll now shift your attention to Unilever Ghana PLC, which has held its annual general meeting with board members and stakeholders to review its performance for the year 2024. Key issues discussed included pricing, production costs, and the company's commitment to putting consumers first.
Unilever Group has reaffirmed its commitment to delivering value to consumers as it held its annual general meeting with board members and stakeholders to assess the company's financial and business performance for the year 2024. Speaking at the meeting, the board chairman Edward Ifa indicated that if the current foreign exchange rate remains stable and allows for cheaper sourcing of products, Unilever will consider passing on some of the savings to consumers.
The FX is sustained and we are able to source products more cheaply, we will endeavor to pass on some of the savings to the consumer. Otherwise, we won't even be competitive. Our competitors will do the same. But we'll need to observe and see how it evolves and how it impacts our cost of production and see what we can pass on.
They further emphasized that consumers remain its #1 priority and that the company will continue to pursue strategies that serve the interests of the people.
The role of the board and of the management is to continue to grow shareholder value. Our top priorities will continue to remain growing the business in a much very governed manner in order to create the necessary shareholder values and then everybody can be happy. But most especially trying to make sure that our products are in every home in Ghana in a profitable manner.
With a focus on operational efficiency and customer value, Unilever says it remains committed to adapting to market changes while pushing for long-term sustainability and growth.
And that's how we wrap up business tonight on News 360. I am Menu. Our full sports news is up next. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to News 360 on TV3. Let's do sports now. And Bill Ishan is with us. Hello, Bill.
Hi, Martin.
So I know you're not starting from football, but something athletics related.
Yeah,
What's going
Benjamin Azamati has qualified to the Tokyo World Athletics Championships. He recorded a season's best earlier today to qualify. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Give us details then.
All right. Let's begin from Benjamin Azamati, who has achieved a season's best time of 9.98 seconds in California, securing qualification to the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo at the McNabb Sprint Series. Now, this performance marks a season best for the sprinter and places him tied for 17th on the official men's 100-meter qualification list for the global event. And it's Azamati's fourth career sub-10s performance under legal wind conditions. Athletics coach Elom Amenopop believes this achievement gives Azamati ample time to prepare for the championships, which is scheduled for September this year.
Ben has put in a lot of work this season. When you look at his trajectory when the outdoor season starts, he keeps improving on race after race, and running that time yesterday, I mean, give him some kind of relief because he booked a qualification, which is giving him more room to prepare ahead of the championship that is in September. I mean, every athlete wants to have that early qualification. I don't know if there's going to be a national championship because I'm anticipating a lot of Ghanaian athletes might drop sub-10 this season. When that happens, it's going to call for national championship. I mean, that would be a thing for the federation and then the government to decide, because if more than 3 athletes run the sub-10, and I mean, you can't just say they have all qualified, they are all entitled to be there. So the onus rests upon the federation to decide who is selected, and then the coach decide who ran.
Big congratulations to Benjamin Azamati. Let's move to football, where Accra Lions are on the edge of relegation from the Ghana Premier League following a heavy 3-1 defeat to Accra Heartful on Friday at the Accra Sports Stadium. The loss leaves Lions in 16th place on the league table with 35 points, 2 points behind the Young Apostles, Basake Holy Stars, and 3 behind Karela United, who are yet to play their matchday 32 fixtures. Now, Hearts took the lead when Enoch Esubontin scored after just 12 minutes. Lions fought back and leveled the scoreline through Lawrence Setoje with 20 minutes remaining. However, their comeback hopes were dashed when Hearts scored 2 goals in 8 minutes. Kwesi Asma scored the first of the quick-fire double in the 81st minute, and Hamza Issa sealed the victory with a goal in the 90th minute. Despite the win, Hearts of Oak remain 5th with 52 points, while Lions remain in the relegation zone. With 20 minutes remaining, however, their comeback hopes were dashed when Hearts scored 2 goals in 8 minutes. Kwesi Asma scored the first of the quick. Now let's move on to some other stories, where in the Serie A, Napoli and Inter Milan are locked in battles to try and secure the Scudetto. Currently, Inter are leading Como by 1-0. Como have a red card, and Napoli are also leading Cagliari by 1-0 as well. As things stand, if the result remains the same, then Napoli will win the Scudetto for the 2nd time in 3 seasons. That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen. There's more on the bulletin after this break.
GTP Lifestyle, powered by 3 Entertainment.
News this evening, Ghanaian Afro-pop artist Famia has blamed the seeming disinterest by some emerging artists to identify with high-life music on the lack of respect and appreciation for the genre. He stressed the need for stakeholders to cherish high-life music and stop talking down on the genre to help preserve and attract the interest of younger artists. He spoke to Usuarai.
If you give me benzo, I give me long life.
Acclaimed singer Famia beat stiff competition from Kwame Eugene, Kwabena and other top artists to emerge the High Life Artist of the Year at the 27th TGM.
And I'm really proud of it. You could see it in my face when I was being called to come for my award. High Life Artist of the Year looks like among all the 3 categories I was being nominated, it really stands out.
The versatile musician started his career back in 2019 as a High Life sensation. In fact, it took his breakthrough High Life song, Nothing I Get, to endear him to music enthusiasts across the country and beyond.
I used to be a High Life artist right from the beginning of my career.
But along the line, Famia, born Peter Famia Boza, switched to explore other genres, finally settling on Afro-pop. He prefers to be tagged an Afro-pop artist.
Growing up, I think I was more focused on Afro-pop because that was the kind of sound genuinely and sincerely I was producing. So
today, many other younger artists don't want to identify as High Life musicians. The long-life singer blamed the situation on the general lack of appreciation for the genre.
I think there's a little bit stigma with it because our people, some of our people, when you are doing something local and very, authentic, they feel like, that's how they feel, and that's why I'm saying that mine is Afro pop high life Peter, so that it doesn't sound like me yet, man. Yeah. But in California,
but what could be done to reverse the trend?
I just think that we the youth kind of sidelining because we feel like in Pennyford there was some collaborative effort become say hey High Life need there and no ever push it to the world so that nobody feels that kind of stigma where High Life they I'm fine on Kobe because mind you Afrobeat Nigerians they understand that sound and they've been able to uplift that sound. I think we should be able to do the same thing.
Let's find out what's happening on the international front.
U.S. President Donald Trump has said he is recommending imposing 50% tariffs on goods from the European Union being imported to the United States. He said in a post on social media on Friday, our discussions with them are going nowhere. The announcement marks an escalation of Trump's trade war with the EU, which currently has a 10% tariff on all goods being brought into America. The president also threatened to impose a 25% import tax on iPhones not manufactured in America. A judge has issued a temporary restraining order blocking the Trump administration's plan to strip Harvard University of its ability to enroll foreign students. The ruling came after Harvard filed a lawsuit, the latest escalation of a dispute between the White House and one of America's most prestigious institutions. The university said the administration's decision on Thursday was a blatant violation of the law and free speech rights. The Trump administration says Harvard has not done enough to fight anti-Semitism and change its hiring and admissions practices, allegations that the university has strongly denied. The Democratic Republic of Congo's Senate has stripped former President Joseph Kabila of his immunity, paving the way for his prosecution over his alleged backing of rebels in the east. Authorities have accused him of treason and war crimes, saying there was a substantial body of documents, testimony and material facts linking Kabila to the M23 armed group.
And that's our package for this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Aseidu Dartey.
And I am Ayisha Yakubu. Have a lovely weekend.